Karen, and look who's back.
It's Hillary.
Hillary. She came back again. We're back here in my knitting room, and Hillary, why don't you show us what you finished?
Yeah, I finished. I still have to weave in the ends a little bit, and my cat has gotten to it, so it looks a little off, but the nightshade.
Oh yeah, this here.
That can be weaved in.
That we'll weave in.
Yeah.
Look how pretty. I love the way this turned out. And you went for this self-coloring yarn,
yes.
and then with one what do you call it, the lighter one throughout. You didn't shift them like that, you just kept the same sequence, right?
Yeah, so the self-coloring, it actually worked out very nicely, and it kind of gives the same kind of pattern that you would get from the Nightshift, but yeah, I like how it turned out. And then I just used the one color. It has some variations in the color, in the white, like there's some little yellow pieces like right there.
Oh yeah, it has a little bit more, goes almost from yellow to pink from some places.
Even in this end. I was a little nervous at the bottom because it was green and purple, but it looks really nice.
It looks really nice. It complements the other colors so very much. It looks fantastic. So this we are now going to block, right?
Yeah.
Not every project that you make it needs to be blocked, but often it looks so much better when you do. And this particular Nightshift shawl, because it's so thick, I noticed, and because the edging that you do on this, which is the I-cord edge, it tends to roll a little bit. Blocking it takes care of that. And also, because when you block it and stretch it and flatten it, you kind of make it a little softer and more pliable. So this one, because this was knitted in the Nora yarn, which is kind of thick and chunky, I absolutely recommend blocking it to the point where, not to make it bigger, but it will stretch and get a little bigger, but more to make it softer and more pliable. So, and I mean, yeah, just lukewarm water, flat, flat, flat. And you can either block it if you have the blocking blocks, it's sort of like a spongy type of thing, or just put it on between two towels and let it dry for 2-3 days on that. It will definitely make a big difference. So I love this one. So when are you gonna make it the next one?
Oh, I know. I got my aunt on them. She's pretty much done hers. Hi, Aunt Karen.
Nice. I mean, they are addictive because the result is just so stunning, I think. And the technique is so simple. We've shown you in another episode, if you haven't seen it. Basically, you just lift over. This is the mosaic technique, and you just lift over 2 stitches, and then that's it.
Yeah, it's super fun too. Especially, I think for my next one, I'm gonna actually change up the colors, which I think will like keep it.
Yeah, because then it keeps it interesting in that respect too. I'm just trucking along on my second Trouville sweater. I've gotten this far now. I'm just working on the body, and that's so fun too. So I've talked enough about this one. I don't need to say much more. It's just fun. This is actually, now once you've done the yoke, this becomes a good project to work on because the body is just plain knitting, so it's like not hard. You can't mess up. So it's just something you can keep going with. Yeah. So what was the toughest part for you doing that one? Did you run into any, how did you find the pattern?
The pattern was, once you got a hang of it, it was actually super simple. But I found beginning was definitely hard to wrap my head around what I was doing, but I had a great teacher. And yeah, no, it ended up being really good. The pattern's laid out really nicely as well, but there's a certain point, if you're doing what I did with the self-coloring yarn and just one other off yarn, you don't really need the pattern after you have it down pat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this pattern was written to, I think, incorporate 6 different colors.
Yes.
And that is why she has separated it in those different sections. But when you don't change the colors like that, you just keep going. So pretty much every section is the same.
Yeah.
But sometimes I find certain patterns I understand that they want to write them the way they do, because maybe there's a slight little difference in one row, and then they need to put that out. But so, sometimes the patterns are written more complicated than they need to be.
Yes.
Because they're too detailed. But I mean,
Yeah.
in this case, once you have done a few rows, this pattern is so simple, you can actually see where you're supposed to be lifting the stitches and where you're supposed to be knitting them, because you want to have that sort of staggered pattern. So you never want to have two bumps here on top of each other. They should be staggered. So once you get the hang of it, it seems a little confusing in the beginning.
Yeah.
But once you get the hang of it, and once you see how the pattern is supposed to play out, it's not hard.
Right.
And then it doesn't really matter. Wait, was I supposed to slip first? Was I supposed to knit first? What was I... Like, you can see where you are. So once you get into the pattern a little bit, it's more like I find that I don't read the instructions anymore. I just basically, you can see how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found this one, I didn't even really write down my rows for this one.
No, because you can also see, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the small, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 5 or 6?
It's 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's 5 of the bigger ones and 5 of the smaller ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then and since you didn't change up the colors, you didn't have to keep track of that. Yeah, no. So... Nice project.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Let's go and block it.
Okay.
Okay. Here is the shawl already. Look how pretty it turned out. So nice. So Hillary, you said you didn't write down the rows?
No, I didn't write down the rows, which worked out okay in this pattern, but something that I learned when I was making the sweater in the previous episodes that we did together was that counting is super important, especially in patterns that you can't easily memorize. I've had to do it for the most recent shawl that I'm working on, where I have a little notebook and you write down all the rows, and you can do it for which way works for you. There's no...
Some people have those little stitch counters that they just click for each one.
Right.
I much prefer to write down my rows.
Yeah.
And I do that. Not only do I write down, because sometimes you can see where you are. I know in this particular pattern, I know I have 4 rows, and you can easily count. You can see when it's time. But I still like to write down, for the most part, what I do, because often I can then go back when I'm knitting a sweater, for instance, or if I do arms, I want to know exactly how many rows I did for one arm, so I know that the other one will be the exact same, because I just tick off the next arm, I just tick off each row, so I know. Or I go back and look at previous projects, and wait a minute, how many did I do for that one? What did I do there? And since I have it written down, I can go back and check my notes, and I can go back, and also then when I see my rows or whatever, the memory comes back to me.
Right.
So I can, oh yeah, that's right, I remembered, I should have done it a little bit more. I should have done that a little longer, I should have done that a little shorter, or whatever. So for me, I'm a big believer in writing down my notes.
Yeah. Totally, because
Yeah.
I had to frog
Oh yeah,
my project like 3 or 4 times, and it was like pretty well done. And then I was like, oh no, I had to go back.
You were ready to give up. At that
I
point.
was, and I've actually
She was
taken.
not happy.
No,
She was
I
not
took
happy.
like 2 weeks off, and I was just like, I can't do this
Yeah, and
anymore.
you know what? That's okay. Sometimes it's best to just step away, put
Yeah.
it down, take a breath, walk away, and then pick it up with a fresh mind
Yeah.
another day.
Yeah.
But you had to, yeah. How many rows did you have to? Did you start over completely on that?
I
Was
had
it
to
the front
restart.
piece
It was the front panel.
on the
Yeah.
sweater?
Yeah. So quite a few rows.
So
Yeah.
and have you picked up on that sweater, or is it still laying there?
It's still laying there.
Well, the Nightshift shawl came in between, and your
did.
other shawl came in between.
It did, and the other shawl that I was still working on, but we talked about in the previous episode, it's for my mom's birthday present, so there's a time constraint on that.
Yeah,
one.
so then of course
Yeah.
that takes priority.
Whereas the sweater is a summer sweater, so I can kind of work on it.
Well,
here
that
and
you
there.
can do next summer. I have a piece of. I'm gonna show you. Hillary talked about this sweater, in another episode, but I have a little test patch of that crochet. It was that twisted crochet pattern, and this is just my little test panel for it. But yeah, so it was the one front panel that you had to start again, stop and start and unfrog it.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh my gosh.
not fun. Yeah,
It's so fast to frog too.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
just
Oh
like-
yeah,
and then
takes you hours to complete, and then it's like
Yeah.
boom, you can frog it in a matter of minutes. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think I want to also crochet the sweater at some point, but just
Yeah.
not in this yarn. This was I just did it to see what it would look like, and I want to actually get a similar color to what you
Yeah.
have.
Oh yeah.
A beige, more, yeah, like a nice beige cotton yarn. And I do think cotton or linen yarn is the
Yeah.
best for this particular one.
Totally.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for today. Until next time, take care. Happy knitting.
Bye.
Bye. And now the hole is there.
Okay.
That's why I was so confused last night.
Oh, okay.
I'm blonde. We don't want to be cross-eyed.
No.
No, we don't. I see how. So, say that. So it's little count stitchers. No, is that what it's called?
Stitch
Stitch counts. Some people have those. It feels so silly doing this. Sorry, here.